Hello, hello. Good afternoon, good morning, depending on where you are in the world. Welcome. My name is Zach Ferguson. Welcome to the second part of our Wella Triple Craft takeover of Modern Beauty's Instagram feed. So first of all, I'd like to thank Modern for allowing us the control over their Instagram feed, and thank you for those of you who are joining on to watch us today. Again, the second part of our Triple Craft series that we were bringing to you. So I'm just going to quickly talk about what we're doing today before I bring in Zeina, who is going to be showing you some color work today. So last week, if you guys have tuned in, we are doing a three-part series. We're doing a triple craft concept, which is cut, color, and style. So last week we did the haircut. I shipped over a mannequin to the West Coast. I'm in the East Coast, and Zeina is going to be doing the second part of the triple craft process, which is going to be the color. So I am just going to add Zeina in. So once she comes in, we'll kind of go over what the concept is again, and we'll talk a little bit more about what we're doing. There she is.
Hello.
Hey, Zeina.
Hi.
How are you?
I'm doing great. I'm Zeina El-Sherif. I'm in Calgary, Alberta. I'm super excited for what I have today. Yay.
Wicked. So, Zeina, I don't know if you heard, but I was just kind of mentioning what we are doing with the triple craft. So, again, I'll just go over it, and then we can kind of take over with what you're going to do with the color part of it. So again, like I said, triple craft is a three-part series where we do cut, color, and finish. The haircut that you're looking at here, I'm not going to go into it in detail. If you want to see what the haircut was, you can follow back on the previous video on the Modern page. It'll be under their Instagram stories. So today what we're going to be doing is the second part of it. So Zeina's going to be doing the color on the haircut that I did last week. So Zeina, why don't you tell us a little bit about what you're going to do?
Okay, so I've started it already. So I kind of have some color work going through the back and the side here. So I've decided to go in with like a gray color on the top, and the bottom is going to have some orange tips just through there. And I kind of just connected it with Zach's haircut here. So I've already connected it through the sides, and it's going to kind of blend down through the back there. So I'm going to start the other side so you guys can see how I did that. So when I sectioned out for the side, I really looked at the way the haircut was falling that Zach already cut. So I was going to do some orange through the top as well. And with these short pieces through here, the way it's falling like this, and there's some that kind of fall through the sides and the back there, I'm really looking at the way the sides and the top connects. And I kind of just visually looked at where I wanted the orange and these short bits to fall and kind of pieced it out through there, just kind of sectioned it out through there. And through the fringe here, like Zach's got some short pieces through here too. So I don't really want the orange to be too high up through the side here because we can kind of see how it's a bit lower through there. So I just really visually kind of sectioned out the top from the side.
Very cool. Sorry, I failed to mention earlier that if there's any questions, please feel free to use the question box down below, and then I will be monitoring the questions and I can field them to Zeina while we're working away here. So any kind of questions regarding the color, the haircut, anything in general, feel free to use that question box just at the bottom there.
So even though my section isn't like a perfectly straight line, I don't know if you can see that. It's not like a perfectly straight line, but it's like visually where I want to see the orange and the gray to be. So I just visually sectioned this out. I didn't worry too much about it technically being straight or anything like that.
So Zeina, this kind of work, would you be considering this something that's creative application, or is it just creative because of the color choices? Is this something that you can be used in the salon?
I would say it's definitely creative because of our color choices that we've decided to go with. But it kind of is more of a creative look as far as placement as well. I mean, you can choose different colors and make it look less I guess, out there.
Yeah.
What do you think? Do you think you would do this on clients at the salon, Zach?
Yeah, I mean, depending on, the type of client, but I think that when it comes to creative cutting and creative coloring, which again is something that we really focus on with the triple craft concept, because we do kind of want to get away from the monotony or the repetitiveness of long haired curly kind of finishes, which is beautiful, but we sometimes want to get into a little bit more of a creative approach and giving our clients something unique and different to them. So creativity to the individual is varies. So I think, to answer that question, would this be something I could do on a different palette, i.e. like whether it was blondes or browns? I could do something like that for sure. But that's the cool thing about color and creativity. It varies very differently between stylists and clients. So long-winded answer to the question, but
great answer.
So we just have a comment, and it just says, "Why are you so cool, Zeina?" So
Are you sure that wasn't for you, Zach?
Well, it just said, "Why are you so cool?" Zed. So both of us are Zed.
So we don't know who it is. I guess we're both cool.
I suppose. So what, just a question here. So what products are we using? What color range are we in right now?
So to create the gray and the orange, I've decided to go in with Colorstone Perfect Special Mix. Oh, there we go. Is that better?
Yeah, that's good.
And the special mixes can be used to either enhance your tones or create like a shade creatively. So I've decided to use special mix for the orange, the 0 stroke 4-3. And then for the gray, I'm going in with Colorstone Perfect 9 stroke 8-1 and 7 stroke 1-8.
Nice. So that's 9 stroke 8-1 and 7 stroke 1-8 in Colorstone Perfect. Would you say those are equal parts?
Equal parts, yeah.
Equal parts. So 1 to 1. And the 0 stroke 4-3 is just straight.
It's just straight. Yeah, I didn't mix it with anything else. I decided to just use it straight. So I've just applied her roots there, and then I'm actually just using my paddle to paint through the mids. I just feel like the paddle is a lot easier to saturate those mid areas without getting my hands too dirty.
That's a great tip. So it's a little quicker too.
Yeah, it's a little quicker. So looking at the haircut that Zach did, he's got these shorter layers through here. So I actually am not going to put any orange through these short bits, just on these just on the lengths. You can see that there. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to clip this out of my way and finish these sections first, actually.
There's a question as to why you're doing it this way, I believe. So why are you doing the tips right now?
Is that the question?
And the question was just why.
That's very vague. Can we elaborate on the question? Why what? Why a lot of things?
Yeah, let's get existential right now.
Yes, why life?
Why are you leaving out the shorter pieces? That's the question.
Oh, okay, sorry. So the reason I'm leaving out the shorter bits, it's just a creative decision. Like I just wanted to see the orange through the lengths on the tips there. I wanted to connect, like looking at Zach's haircut, I just wanted to, like I kind of saw how the length of his haircut went, it kind of goes, like he's got these face framing layers and they kind of go down, like they kind of swoop down like that. So I really like how he did the line. So I just, as a creative decision, I just wanted to accentuate the line that he did. So with these shorter bits, if I were, like you can add orange into the short layers here. It's just going to go higher up. So it was just a personal creative decision of why I did that. I hope that that makes sense and answers your question.
So, Zeina, when you're working in something creative like this, do you find a difference between coloring it first, before the haircut, or coloring it after? Is there do you have a preference?
Typically working in like a departmentalized salon, we usually color the hair before the haircuts. But I think in this case, because you did such a creative haircut, if I had colored this, but it's so much harder to color this before.
Right.
Like she had like no shape before.
Right, it'd be hard to visualize that way I'd be cutting to the color, and now you're coloring to the cut.
Yeah, so it's much easier for me because this is such a creative haircut. It's much easier for me to see the cut first, and then for me to color to Zach's haircut.
Do you mind just twisting her a bit so we can see a little bit of that?
Oh yeah, sorry.
No, not at all. There you go.
How's that?
Cool. So just a question, what developer strength are you using and why?
I'm actually only using pastel developer. And we only need deposit on her hair because she was actually a blonde mani. So I don't really think we need any more than pastel.
And the mixing ratio is?
So the mixing ratio for pastel is 1:2. And oh, there we go. I'm just putting some saran just so I don't get her messy. I don't like to make my clients messy.
No.
I want to keep her as clean as possible.
She's going out tonight.
Oh yeah, especially in Calgary.
Yeah, social distance event.
Bars are open here, so she might as well show off her new hair.
There you go.
I'll bring her a bit closer now. So now that I've gotten the orange part out the bottom here, all I have to do is color these bits gray. So it kind of makes it a bit easier to map it out a little bit so you don't get lost in your creative color, because I feel like that can happen sometimes.
So I have another question here. Is, what kind of longevity do we get with using like the permanence here as like a creative way, like versus a semi?
Versus a semi?
Like our Color Fresh Create or so on. I
think that I feel like longevity has so many other variables. So it's a hard question, but I think like gray and orange are two colors that tend to naturally fade really quickly. So I don't know if you're going to get any more longevity. What do you think, Zach?
Yeah, I think exactly what you said. Longevity has so many different variables to it. I think obviously the condition of hair, the porosity, all the way down to the follow through, what kind of products the client is using at home. Sorry, I had a little brain pause there. So there's a lot of variables to that question, and I think that it's best not to ever really guarantee longevity when we're talking about creative work, because you know a lot of times it's something to think about when clients are paying a lot of money, and sometimes they're expecting a long lasting kind of result. But I think that you know we really have to talk them through that, and it's part of the consultation as well. When you're really going for these creative looks, you talk about longevity and talk about the need to have you know a professional take home shampoo and all the steps you know that would help mitigate losing color quickly. So, but again, yeah, I think that the base that we're putting it on, so most of the time if we're doing creative work like this, and Zeina, you could probably attest, if this was somebody coming in and we had to make them blonde, first and foremost, we have to protect the lightening, lightening the lifting service. So when we're using something like Wella Plex, or now with the Blonde or Plex, to really get a nice base to work with, but one that's going to be healthy and allow us to use the creative colors.
So I've just actually sectioned her fringe out, and what I want to see through her fringe is we've decided to keep the root of her fringe gray, but we're going to do a heavy weight line of orange through the bottom of her fringe there, just for some interest. So I'm just going to tap the root with my gray first. I just like to map out my sections and have everything sectioned out, so that's why I have all of this clipped away.
Work clean.
Yes. There we go. And what I'm actually going to do, just because I really don't want to get her, I don't really want to make her forehead orange, is I'm just going to put a plastic right here. Just like that. Just to keep her nice and clean.
So working with the fringes is a little bit more difficult. Do you have any maybe tips to how you control that?
I think the biggest tip is just to keep your sections clean. Like that's why I've like kind of have everything all sectioned out, because if you have too big of a section or if things start to get really messy. Hello?
Yeah, we're back. Got a little pause there.
Did you lose me for a second?
A little bit. Just when you said.
Had a bit of technical.
No technical difficulty.
Had a bit of technical difficulty there. Sorry about that. I forgot what I was saying now. Sorry.
Yeah, you're just talking about control, like some tips and sectioning, the size of section.
Yeah, keeping my sections smaller and making sure they're really clean. And like for me, like the reason I like to keep my client clean too is I just personally get really flustered if she's dirty. Like I don't want her to be like uncomfortable, even though it's a mannequin, but you know, in real life, I wouldn't want her to be like uncomfortable or have color on her. So just like keeping her clean, keeping my sections like small and clean, especially through the fringe, like having smaller sections through the fringe, I find really helps too. Like if I took this entire piece, it might not be as accurate of a result.
Absolutely. Thin to win.
Thin to win, yeah.
We just have a quick question about the haircut. If you don't mind, we'll just jump in for a second. The question is, can you explain when you should dry cut versus when you should choose to wet? So to answer that question, a lot of it really has to do with personal preference. I do a lot of the hair cutting while it's wet because you have a little bit more control over the sections, over the hair, the way it lays. Sometimes when it's dry, you'll notice that if you're elevating, the hair will sometimes slip through your fingers. And if that's the case, you sometimes lose control. Sectioning is going to be, or your finished result might be a little bit off in terms of precision. But you know, there is absolutely nothing wrong with choosing to cut the hair dry. A lot of it, again, is just personal preference. I personally find I have more control over wet hair. And again, that's when I'm putting in the shape. Whenever I'm doing any kind of texturizing or finishing, I will do that once the haircut's dry, because then you can really see where the weight's sitting and so on and so forth. So I do a little bit of both. I hope that answers the question.
Does the texture of the hair matter, Zach?
So the texture of the hair, does that texture of the hair matter? Yes. Again, you can cut, so let's say if we're talking about really curly hair, super curly hair, you can choose to cut curly hair dry because you can really see the shape developing while you're cutting it. And sometimes it's opposite when it's wet and everything's sitting very flat on curly hair. It's harder to see your shape. So sometimes cutting more textured hair while it's dry is a little bit easier to see the finished result. So yeah, texture plays a role into how you approach that for sure. But again, there's no definitive right or wrong answer to that. Again, artists are free to create whatever you want to create. It's just up to you. Just have another question. So the question was, where did you start your application and why? I know we talked about that at the start of the video, but if you want to just go over that again.
Sure. So I just actually started my application in the back. The reason I started in the back, to me, it just makes sense to like start here and like get the bulk of this out of the way. And I guess you could start in the front. I kind of just visualized where I wanted everything to be. So I knew I wanted to have a strong fringe with the orange. And like looking at Zach's haircut, I saw his line going this way. So I kind of knew I wanted it to follow his haircut. So I sectioned out the sides from the back, and I looked at the sides and the back visually, and I kind of just applied everything based on Zach's line. I found it easier to just get this out of the way rather than do this and then try to maneuver down here. I guess it's just a personal preference that I started back here, but I don't know. Would you start anywhere else? I feel like the back makes more sense to start.
I think that given the haircut too, you're essentially, the haircut itself is kind of longer towards the perimeter and shorter towards the interior. So I think that working perimeter first, so the outside length, kind of makes sense, because then you're working up into shorter layers and you can kind of stack them on top of each other. I think it would be a little bit more difficult starting from the top going to the bottom.
Yeah, I think so too. So with this fringe, I really just visually painted everything. Like it's not too technical, I would say. It's more just visually creative. So I really just saw where I wanted everything to go and just painted it on in the most, simplified way.
Yeah, it's starting to look cool.
Yeah.
So, and again, we're not going to be able to finish the hair color, so we're going to have to tune in next week, because again, this is a 3-part series. So it's first the cut, now the color, and then Nichelle, another teammate in the West Coast, is going to be finishing the look with styling and how to kind of walk you through some styling techniques and product use to really finish the entire look. So you'll have to tune in next week to really see the result of Zeina's color work, which is a very cool process. So hopefully you guys will tune in for that. And I believe too, Zeina, we have a giveaway too, right?
We do, yes.
Quite exciting.
So we have an amazing giveaway. It's going to be a one-on-one coaching session with the Stephen Moody. So that's an amazing prize. And it is also going to be a pair of Mitsutani shears. And these shears are going to be completely customizable to whoever. I know Zach's super jealous right now.
I want those
so bad. So these shears are going to be customizable to whoever wins this giveaway. So you can choose like the length of the shear, you can choose the color, and you can choose whether you're left-handed or right-handed. So you guys are definitely going to want to enter this giveaway. And the way to enter is this live is going to be posted on the Wella Canada West IGTV. So all you guys got to do is go to this IGTV that's going to be posted, and you're going to want to comment our secret phrase, which is Wella Love, and tag 2 of your friends. And that's going to give you 1 entry. And if you guys want an additional entry, go back and watch our part 1 cut craft, and there's some instructions on how to get another entry. And make sure to watch it next week, because there's going to be another chance to enter. This is an awesome giveaway.
That's a really great opportunity to have a one-on-one with Stephen Moody. Again, he's the one who really kind of put together the triple craft concept, and to really have a one-on-one walkthrough with cutting techniques and so on and so forth. I think that in itself is just, you can't really put a price tag on that. Not to mention having some shears to go along with that. So unfortunately, I'm not allowed to enter, but maybe I'll make up a pseudo name.
But, that didn't even think of that.
I'm just kidding. But anyway, yeah, so we'll mention that again just as we're leaving the video. But Zeina, yeah, if you want to just continue on. So you're just continuing with the same kind of process, working your way up the head shape now?
Yeah. So Zach's got a lot of like really short layers that he cut through the top here. So I think it'd be really cool to kind of just bring out the texture in these layers. So I'm going to continue with doing my gray on her roots, and I'm just going to give her some bits of orange through these layers here. So I'm not going to put all of those bits orange. I'm going to put some of them orange and some of them gray to give it like some texture and some movement. And yeah, I just really want to bring like this part of the haircut out and really like show this part off. So I'm just really going to be working through and like visually switching up where I'm going to put the orange and where I'm going to put the gray on those tips.
So there's another question, and it's how did you decide on the colors, the gray and the orange?
How did I decide on the colors?
Mm-hmm.
This pencil, just kidding.
Wow.
We were joking that this is my inspiration because it's a gray and orange pencil. But actually, though, I just really think having like a mixture of like warm tones and cool tones, like cohesively in a creative look, I think it looks really cool. It's a bit different. Like you don't typically see clients that want like warm and cool, super warm and super cool. So they're really like opposite sides of the spectrum. So I just thought it'd be like a cool color palette. It was just a personal choice. You could really do any color palette with this though.
Cool. And I think too that, you know, creative work is, you know, depending on the salon, depending on the stylist, it might not be something that you're doing all the time. I think that it can sometimes be daunting, but if you look at what we're doing here, it really is subtle. It's just you have a high impact because of where you're placing the color. You know, we only have 2 colors being chosen, and it's not, it's really specific and, you know, as to where those colors are being placed to really enhance the haircut. Because I think when we think about creative work, sometimes it can be overwhelming. Say, I don't have to do all these colors and all these sections, and same with hair cutting. And really, if you simplify things and really pinpoint on where you want to place the color or the specific technique in the haircut, you can really get a high impact finish without that much kind of really like too much work behind it. So simplified really can make a high impact is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, that's great advice. I think we do like really overthink it when it comes to creative color. We put a lot of pressure on ourselves.
Yeah, I know. And again, creative work, if anybody has been following the BEAs or anybody has entered the Wella BEA competition work, you know, this is something that we as educators for Wella, we try to ignite some sort of passion with everybody to try to showcase what they can do in the world of like competition. So creative work is great for that as well. In the BEAs, you'll see, you know, if you've seen the hashtags and so on and so forth and follow the competition, you'll see a lot of creative work and how it's really, really beautifully done. But a lot of it is really simple. So working with those shorter bits is a little bit challenging, is it not?
It is a little bit harder, yeah, but again, it's just keeping your sections clean and small.
And I like the use of the board. It looks like it really helps.
Yeah, the board really helps keep everything clean. Like I do like to use my hands a lot, so like I have a towel beside me, but it's nice to have the board because then I don't have to keep stopping and like wiping my hands. And so I actually have 2 boards going. I have one for the gray one and one for the orange one, and that just keeps everything not messy.
Clean and separate.
Clean and separate.
And what kind of follow-through products would you recommend? Is there any kind of take-home shampoos, or is there anything that you recommend to clients who get kind of creative work done?
Well, I always recommend to clients who have this not to wash their hair very often is the number one thing. Since I have like a creative color myself, I actually don't wash my hair too often. But when I do wash my hair, I use a color protection shampoo. So the Invigo would be really good, like the Brilliance.
Mm-hmm.
That'd be really good to help protect the color. But, or you could just be like me and don't wash your hair.
Do you recommend clients using colder water to shampoo their hair?
Yeah, but most of them don't.
Yeah.
It's best to just get a really good dry shampoo and don't wash it. My favorite dry shampoo is actually the Nioxin Instant Fullness one.
Ah, yes.
So good.
Beautiful.
Feels like there's nothing in your hair, which I love. So it's actually nice.
And then, so when we're talking about processing time now, how long would we have to let this color process for?
I would just process her for the same amount of time as I would like any of my other permanent colors. Like I'm going to process her for 30 minutes.
Okay.
Which should be good. So I don't know if you could see there, but I actually am just like kind of giving her like a thicker weave to give her some dimension. And I'm coloring part of the weave gray and the other part of the weave orange. And that's going to give her some of a mixture of the colors for dimension.
Okay.
Can you see that there?
You can see it a little. Yep.
Yeah, so there's like my thicker weave there. Oh, scared to lower her.
Yeah, I know. Careful. She falls off. We have another question here. Yeah, so the question is, generally in how many washes will the color fade away?
That's a tough question because again, I think there's so many variables when it comes to like how quickly it's going to fade. I personally think with a creative color, like a couple shampoos and it's going to start to fade.
Yeah. So again,
Yeah.
there's a lot of variables. If the hair texture is really, really dry and porous or damaged, you run the risk of the color essentially coming right out the next wash. So it really does depend on what you're putting it on. So we have to ensure that the base is healthy and it's able to take hair color. And even then, we can't always guarantee how long it's going to last.
When it comes to colors like this, I never give them a time. I never guarantee anything because you just really like don't know.
Yeah. And again, when you're doing this kind of work, it is more specific. It is a lot more detail oriented. So there's a price tag that generally comes along with that. So again, it's important to have that conversation with longevity because the clients do need to know that.
And you're also putting it on such lightened hair too, right? Like the hair has been super pre-lightened to get a look like this. So it's kind of just the nature of these colors.
Yeah.
Where they tend to fade. I mean, even with my hair starts to fade within the first shampoo. It doesn't look bad. It looks good as it's fading. But so I've done, like my color, for example, I've done on a lot of my own clients. And like the feedback I get is they even say like it lasts them around a month. Usually, most of them say around a month.
Mm-hmm. Why do creative colors fade faster than usual colors? Is a question.
Okay. The reason for that is just because you're putting it on such pre-lightened hair. So it's not even that it's like the fact that it's a creative color. It's the fact that you're putting it on such bleached hair to begin with. So like bleached hair in general won't hold on to color the same as as say you're just doing a brown on brown, it's not going to fade as quickly, right? So if you colored someone's hair, if someone's hair was blonde and you put brown lowlights in, it's probably going to fade pretty quickly.
Mm.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm at the top, so it's probably a little hard for you to see because I'm kind of short too.
It's okay, we can see.
There we go.
There we go.
So what I kind of did during my application too is the pieces that I made gray, I kind of pushed them to the side. So that way they kind of weren't getting all mixed in together. So the pieces that are gray are kind of pushed to the side here, and then I let the orange pieces kind of just fall flat.
Very cool.
Yeah.
So question 2, would you now be placing this under heat? Would you let her sit in the open air? Would you wrap it?
I would just let her sit just like this. The only reason I have saran wrap on her right now is just so she doesn't get dirty. But I would just put her just like this. I wouldn't cap her. I wouldn't put her under any heat. I would just let her process like exactly the way she is. She doesn't really need it.
Right. So again, you'd let it process for 30 to 40 minutes?
Yeah, I'm going to let her process. I'm going to check her in 30 minutes and see if she's ready. She probably will be, I'll say, because all we've been doing is depositing color and depositing tone on here. So I think she's going to be ready in 30 minutes, but I'm going to check her. And really Close Tone Perfect only takes 30 to 40 minutes to process. So it's the same processing time as your regular color applications.
Perfect. Well, I mean, we're right around the 37-minute mark. So why don't we, again, I'm just going to reiterate what we're doing. Again, it's triple craft. So this was the second installment of it, and this was the color aspect. You go back to the video from last week to see the haircut if you want to know a little bit more, and make sure you tune in next week. Again, it'll be on the Modern Instagram live feed. And we're going to be going over the styling technique. So that's going to be Zeina and Michelle are going to walk you through that, a little bit of the products, a little bit how to finish it. And it's going to be, you're going to see the, the result of 3 different stylists on the same head, which is kind of unique and cool. And again, showing you what the whole triple craft concept is about. And Zeina, do you want to just, again, reiterate maybe, or anything that you want to mention that we missed, and maybe just reiterate what the prize is and how they can enter again?
Yeah, so the giveaway is going to be a one-on-one coaching session with Stephen Moody, and it's going to be a pair of Mitsutani shears. And again, the shears are customizable to whoever wins the giveaway. So you're going to be able to choose the length, the color, and like if you're a lefty, don't even worry because you can choose a left-handed shear too. So that is an amazing giveaway that we're super jealous of. And the way that you guys can enter is this live right now is going to be posted on our Wella Canada West IGTV. So just head over to the IGTV and comment the secret phrase Wella Love and tag 2 of your friends. And that's going to give you 1 entry into this giveaway. If you guys want an additional entry, go back to the cut craft portion, part 1 of triple craft. And there's instructions on how you can have a second entry. And stay tuned for next week because there's going to be a 3rd way to enter. And then you'll have 3 chances of winning. Yeah.
Cool. So, so honestly, from myself, again, let me just put our Instagram handles. I almost forgot.
Yes, Wella Canada West. That's where you guys got to go to enter the giveaway.
Yes. So there's Wella Canada West. There's Zeina's Instagram handle and mine as well. So make sure you go, again, you can either follow us, go back and watch the other videos. And again, tune in next week. So from me, I just like to say thank you for those who tuned in. And for those of you who will be watching at a later date, thank you for taking the time to watch this event. And Zeina, thanks for your time. Great working with you as always.
Thank you to Modern Beauty Supply. Thank you to Modern Beauty Supply for hosting us again. We love going on your lives.
Love it. Thank you. So everybody have a great day, and we will see you next week.
Bye.
Bye, guys.